Dan Sherman. I'd like to welcome you to a preview of the Geniuses of American Musical Theater class that I'll be teaching for Encore Learning in the fall. This class is going to be a biographical review of some of the great geniuses of American theater. Here they are: Jerome Kern, Irving Berlin, the Gershwins, Cole Porter, Harold Arlen, Leonard Bernstein, Alan J. Lerner, Stephen Sondheim. We'll learn about their lives and, more importantly, their careers. These gentlemen wrote over a period of almost 80 years total. So by looking at their careers, we'll get a very good sense of American popular music, theater, movies, media too. So we'll have lots of performances in this class, many interviews with people. And if you took my course in movie musicals, there'll be some overlap, but not a lot. I've tried to keep them fairly separate. An example of one of the individuals we will be talking about, one of my favorites, Irving Berlin. Here he is at 13. I like to think of him as a little kid who came from Russia, had very little schooling, left home at 14. At 21, wrote Alexander's Ragtime Band, and was at the top of American popular music for the next 40 years. Here's some of the facts on Irving Berlin, the sort of things that we'll be discussing. So you'll learn a lot about these individuals. Here's Irving Berlin, 1911, after Alexander's Ragtime Band. We'll talk about Irving Berlin and others going to Hollywood. Here he is with Fred Astaire, Ginger Rogers. We'll follow Irving Berlin through his career, many other great songs, but we'll see him at 80 singing a song that meant a lot to him and I think to a lot of others.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with a light from above.
It's tough to cut that off. I'll be recommending books as we go along of the individuals. Here's a recent book, Irving Berlin. There's no course book, but I will show you one in a moment. But again, here are the geniuses. We'll be talking about Cole Porter being obscured. The book I'll recommend is this one by Rob Capello. Don't need to buy it, but if you can, I think you'll enjoy the course even more. I'm going to thank you very much for coming to this preview, and I hope to see you on Zoom in a few weeks. Thank you very much.
Small town? If so, did you find it to be warm and supportive, or cold and limiting? Or if you haven't lived in a small town, have you been curious about the lives of people who do? Have you ever wondered whether the lives of people in small towns and those people are different from people who live in cities? Small towns and their inhabitants have been a subject that many famous American authors have written works about over the years. They seem to feel that a small town is like a human laboratory in which to study the goings and comings, the doings of the various residents. In this course, in 5 sessions, we will look at 3 of the most important works dealing with the lives of people in small towns. The 3 that we will look at are groundbreaking works of literature and are also works that have been dramatized for the stage, so we'll have an opportunity to see how they play out on the stage. The first of the works we will study is Spoon River Anthology, which is a collection of free verse poems by the Midwestern lawyer poet Edgar Lee Masters. In these poems, they are epitaphs of 200 deceased residents of Spoon River, Illinois. In these poems, the residents tell about their lives, their frustrations, their satisfactions, of the people they loved, of the people they hated. It's a potpourri of lives of very varied group of people in a small town in Illinois. The second work we will study is Under Milkwood, which is a radio drama for voices written by the Welsh poet Dylan Thomas. In this poem, we hear the idiosyncratic people of the village of Laregum in Wales. In Under Milkwood, we also hear voices of the dead and voices of the alive, and we hear how they interact and maintain ongoing connections as the people live out their lives in this very small Welsh village. The final work in the course will be what's perhaps the most often performed play in America, Thornton Wilder's classic drama, Our Town. This takes place in the New England village of Grover's Quarters, New Hampshire. In this play, unlike the others, we don't look at so many idiosyncratic residents, but we look at how the basics of life, love, and death play out in the lives of two very ordinary families, and in seeing how these play out in their lives, relate them to how they play out in our own.
Movies are an interactive medium. Without an audience, there are no movies, only a series of sequentially arranged photographs. When a human consciousness interacts with these still images, as they are projected onto the screen, the audience will see them as animated actions. What makes movies work is that audiences respond to what they see, experiencing it as a reality or an alternative to reality. We believe these images to a far greater degree than we believe words. Directors aware of this correlation between movies and the real world can use these associations to their advantage, letting people see what they would otherwise probably ignore or not notice at all. In this cinematic explorations class, I plan to focus on film structure. We will concentrate on the basic structural elements and how they are manipulated to provide a coherent whole. We are going to look at 4 films from the 1960s. I will provide an overview of each of the films, focusing on at least one of the thematic interpretations. In addition, I'll provide some information about the director and the context during which the film was made to enhance the viewing experience. During the first class of each film, we will replay the first 15 minutes or so of the film and can concentrate on how the motifs in the film are established and enhanced. We will look very closely at those details. We will link the imagery, symbolism, mise-en-scène elements, and sound to what we experience at the end of the film. The second class period on each film will focus on the last 15 minutes of the film and how effectively the director has connected the beginning to the ending, both cinematically and thematically. Obviously, the theme is important, but of equal significance will be the cinematic elements used to convey these ideas. Along the way, I hope we'll be able to make some aesthetic assessments illustrating how we judge the film to have been a success or a failure. I encourage people to participate in discussions during the class. Everyone will get much more out of this experience if each viewer is willing to offer his or her interpretation. As we proceed, I'll raise questions, and hopefully the class as a whole will help formulate some of the answers. Options for renting the films will be provided when you register for the class. The first film will be Ingmar Bergman's Persona. The second one is Psycho by Alfred Hitchcock. The third film is Dr. Strangelove by Stanley Kubrick. And the final film is The Graduate by Mike Nichols.
Hi, everybody. Nan Morrison here. I am pleased to be teaching in the fall, and I will be teaching a wonderful course regarding the Renaissance, and it will include both the Renaissance, the evolution of that in Italy, as well as in Northern Europe. And those are two very, very different stories, different styles of art. And I think right now is in our pandemic life that's unfolding, I think that it's really a very pertinent course to teach, because it's all, the Renaissance at its heart is all about humanism, the human contribution to the world, the absolute focus on the human form, both in paintings as well as sculpture, freestanding sculpture. We'll look at what's known as the Proto-Renaissance, the very early Renaissance, and we'll merge into the Renaissance and the High Renaissance, and then we'll eventually move to the Northern European painters and sculptors. I know some of you have taken my courses before, and I hope you'll come back and be in class. It would be lovely to have you in my course, although it's on Zoom, which isn't the epitome of humanism, but I hope you're all doing well, and I love talking about art. As you know, many of you know I'm an artist. I'm extremely passionate about the subject matter. So I do hope to see you in the fall. I'll have Friday morning classes, hour and a half, and my course starts in October. So I wish you all good health and hope to see you at least on the roster for the fall. Thanks so much.